Blockchain is incredibly popular right now, but what actually is blockchain? How does it work? What problems does it solve? As the name suggests, a blockchain is a chain of blocks that contain information. The term was first described in 1991 by a group of scientists, and it was originally intended for timestamping digital documents. But the concept went unnoticed until Satoshi Nakamoto adapted it in 2009 to create the first cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. Blockchain is a decentralized global code that's completely open to everyone. And it has one very important feature. Once information is recorded on the blockchain, it cannot be changed or deleted. So how does it work? Let's take a closer look at a block. Each block contains some information, its own hash, and the hash of the previous block. The type of information inside the block depends on the blockchain. For example, Bitcoin's blockchain contains information about the sender, receiver, and the amount of coins transferred. As we mentioned, each block also has its own hash. You can think of a hash like a fingerprint. It identifies the block and everything inside it. And just like a fingerprint, it's always unique. Once a block is created, its hash is calculated immediately. If anything inside the block is changed, the hash also changes. In other words, hashes are a useful way to detect changes inside a block. If a block's hash changes, that block is no longer valid. It's a different block. The third part of every block is the hash of the previous block. This is what effectively links the blocks together, and it's what makes blockchain secure. Let's take a look at this simple example. We have a chain of 3 blocks. As you can see, each block has its own hash and the hash of the previous one. Block 3 points to block 2, and block 2 points to block 1. The first block is a little special since it doesn't point to any previous block, because it's the very first one. It's called the Genesis block. Now, let's say someone tries to fake the block number 2. That would imply changing its hash. As a result, block 3 and any following blocks would become invalid, because they no longer have the correct previous hash. So, changing one block breaks the entire chain. But hashes alone aren't enough to prevent tampering and faking the blocks. Modern computers are very fast. They can calculate hundreds of thousands of hashes per second. So technically, someone could tamper with a block and recalculate all the hashes in the chain to make it valid again. To prevent this, blockchain uses something called proof of work. It's a mechanism that slows down the creation of new blocks. In the case of Bitcoin, it takes about 10 minutes to add a new block to the chain. This system makes tampering almost impossible, and if you changed one block, you'd have to redo the proof of work for all the following blocks, which takes a huge amount of time and energy. Blockchain security relies on the creative use of hashes and the proof of work mechanism. But there's one more layer of protection. Instead of using a central control point, blockchain uses a peer-to-peer network. Anyone can join the network. When someone joins, they get a full copy of the entire blockchain. Each network node can use this copy to verify that everything is in order. So what happens when someone creates a new block? That new block is sent to everyone in the network. Each node checks the block to make sure it hasn't been tampered with. If everything is valid, the block is added to everyone's copy of the blockchain. This process creates consensus across all nodes. They all agree on what blocks are valid and what blocks are not. Any tampered blocks will be rejected by the rest of the network. Having that said, in order to successfully tamper with a blockchain, you'd need to change every block in the chain, do the timing of the proof of work for each one, and control more than 50% of all peer-to-peer nodes in the network. Only then would your fake block be accepted. That's practically impossible. Blockchain continues to evolve. One of the most important developments is the creation of smart contracts. Smart contracts are simple programs stored on the blockchain. They can automatically exchange coins based on certain conditions being met. The rise of smart contracts has attracted huge attention. Soon, this technology could be used for many other things, like storing medical records or collecting taxes.
Thanks for watching. If you've got questions or thoughts, drop them in the comments. We're happy to reply. At Mundley Group, we're building a space where anyone can learn trading, improve together, and feel supported, whether you're brand new or already trading. Follow the channel, like the video, and check the description for useful links. See you in the next one.